Yeah, that's right, it's Joe here for JoyriderTV. Apologies for being late, but I was having some shenanigans with the GoPro once again, and the GoPro is hence not on my head. Anyway, we're just on the beach on the 16, just gonna put it in, and then off we go. Nah, it's cool, man, thanks. Or maybe you could bring the trolley up. If I put the trolley on the beach, you could just bring it up a little bit. Thanks. Good. Yeah, that's right, it's Joe here live on JoyriderTV. Getting the boat away from the beach, and then I'll say hello. Oh. First time on the boat for a bit. See if we can remember how to do it. In Vasiliki Bay. First one out of the year. And there we go. And we're off. Okay. Just going to get away from the beach a little bit. Okay, hello, you're live on board a Hobie 16. I can already sense that this video is going to be slightly flawed in that I was intending to do it with the GoPro who we got on board. Hi Kush, nice one, hi Chris. Give her the beans. Missing the Dart 18, yeah man. Yeah, it's the first time out. First time ever going live on the boat. Oh, I just need to adjust me doodah a bit. There we go. And let me get that round here. Wayfaring, wandering, Whedon. Good to see you out, man. Yeah, it's good to be out. Hi, Marco in Italy. All right. Okay, yeah, so I was going to talk about upwind sailing, but I thought what better way to talk about sailing than sailing now that we're allowed to go sailing. And I think the thing is, have we got... Hi Danielle, what a lucky man, yes indeed. And the thing is, you don't know how long it's going to be until they decide they've changed their mind and we're not allowed out again. So I thought I would take the bull by the horns and get out on the boat. Hello Philip, One Shoe Phil, yeah, One Shoe Phil's on board. So it's not quite enough wind, but I think I'll just go for the early stretch of the legs just to see how she is. Yeah, it's definitely not enough wind. Right, I'm not going to go out because there's definitely not enough wind. Okay, so we're single-handed, clearly no camera operator once again on the 16. It's when I was rigging the boat, it was probably about 8 knots, but I think it has eased off a bit, maybe to more like 4 or 5 knots here in Vasiliki. So I'm just going to go for a tack. So I've got the jib sheeted in fairly hard, and I'm sailing as close to the wind as possible before the tack by watching the telltales on the jib. I pulled the mainsail in pretty tight, not completely block to block, because we've got quite a lot of hi Tom, we've got quite a lot of rig tension on because the wind's so light, so we're not aiming to get the main sheet block to block when we've got that much rig tension on. So got the main in tight. I've made sure I'm pretty tidy. Oh, sorry, could you show us your setup to, oh, sorry, I missed that, in Sardinia. Nice to have you on board. Hello, Christian. Christian doing pretty well on the virtual race course these days, unlike myself. All right, so going for the tack. I'm just going to push the stick away, watching the jib. When the jib backs, mainsail goes off. Going across the boat under the boom, taking the stick round. Then after that, letting the jib off because the wind is so light. Actually going to push the bottom batten of the jib to get it to go across, and then now we can enjoy a much longer leg as I go for the camera around. Yeah, so the technology has let us down here today. Just gonna have the GoPro on my head so you can really see everything, but for some reason I did a test run and it was fine, and then when it came to actually doing it for real, got stage fright and gave up. Okay, so with all of the camera changing action, we've sort of come a bit off course. Very easy to oversteer on attack. Hey Gabriel, yeah, still saying forbidden. Yeah, we've only been back on since Monday, but for how long, who knows? Maybe it will be indefinitely, maybe it will just be for a week or two. Humpty Dumpty TV, hi, nice to have you with us here on the 16 as we're sailing across Vasiliki Bay. One top tip here is in the light winds, take your trapeze wire and you can just push it up towards the shroud. Hi Alexander, just bought a Hobie 16. Yes, that is what we're into. Any sort of catamaran but a Hobie 16. Hi Paul, afternoon. Yeah, nice day here in Vasiliki. We were expecting slightly worse weather than this, but it's turned out nice again, as they say. So, sailing upwind in these conditions. I'm not going to be able to show you everything. Hi, Angus. Oh, Angus, one of this year's Wildwind staff members who should have been here already, but unfortunately is not, as you would have expected. Hi, Chris. Thanks for helping me get my sailing fixed. Yeah, hopefully, if you sort of throw salt water in your face, then maybe you get the feeling of being on the boat a little bit, although there's not much spray around in this light wind. So, what are we doing here to set the boat up? Oh, how are you allowed to be sailing at this time? Yeah, in Greece, they eased some of the restrictions since Monday, and apparently, what is it, in 2 days' time? 2 days? Yeah, 2 days' time, they're making another announcement regarding the general state of things. So hopefully, fingers crossed. Hopefully, fingers crossed. That's what we can hope for, is crossing the fingers. All right, who have we got? Hi, Peter in South Africa. Nice to have you on board. Hi, Bob. Kind of love the videos. Okay, Yeah, when you write a long comment, I don't quite have time to read it all before it disappears. Yeah, water temperature, a bit nippy. If it was windy, I'd certainly go with the full wetsuit at the moment, because we've still got someone left the cold tap on. It's the airlines, yeah, for sure. Yeah, so the water is a bit nippy, but where I am at the moment in this fantastic sailing venue is Vasiliki, which is on Where Was Your Best Sailing Adventure? Ooh. That's a good question. Yeah. I think that's a good question, and it's so good, I'm going to come up with a fairly good answer. I started sailing on the east coast of England and had a lot of adventures there. It was like proper boys stuff, because I was only young and I had a Dart 18. But then in Greece, I took a whole week on a Hobie Tiger, just doing island hopping around the islands of the Ionian, and that was an adventure and a half. Fantastic times that was. But I think if the lockdown and no tourists can come, my next adventure, the big one, might be I'm going to see if I can sail around the whole island. Why not? What was your first sailboat? Oh, these are different questions to normal. My first sailing boat was actually a monohull called an albacore, which is a 16-foot long monohull, quite powerful, really unsuitable for young people because the sails were way too big. But I learned a lot on that, and on the Wayfarer, and on the Mirror dinghy before stepping onto the catamaran, and then there was no turning back. All right, so yeah, we're just cruising upwind here. Wind is probably about 5 knots. Left Coast Bridge would be a lot of fun, yeah, for sure. I think that would be part of the experience. Yeah, we're cruising upwind, about 5 knots of wind, maybe. I've got the jib sheeted in fairly tight, almost as tight as it will go. Let's see, I'm just going to do it. You're not going to be able to see it. All right, so if I put it in as tight as possible, then what that does is it makes the jib very flat and takes a lot of the power from the jib, and also it can stall it a bit. So from as tight as possible, just easing, what's that, 2 inches of sheet, and that's put a bit more curve into the sail, giving us a bit more, don't know if we can say drive in these conditions, but it certainly makes the boat feel a bit better. With the mainsail, I'm just pulling it in till it feels good, to be honest. But what we can also do is look at the telltales on the mainsail, trying to make sure those bad boys are all streaming straight back, and that's a good position for the mainsail. And then with the jib in this position, I'm just steering the boat in this light wind, making sure that both telltales on the jib are flying straight back. So if at any point the inside telltale lifts, I'll turn downwind a bit. I know this is very basic fundamentals of upwind sailing for most of you, but I think it's good to go through again. Why not, seeing as we're here? Yeah, if the inside one lifts on this upwind course, I'm going to turn slightly downwind, keeping all rudder movements very, very small. And then if the outside one lifts, the one we can see through the sail, then I'm just going to come up towards the wind a little bit, but again, keeping rudder movements very small. The wind's gone even lighter, so what I'm going to do is just ease a little bit of main sheet off to reduce the risk of stalling by being oversheeted. And I'm actually just going to bring the boat a few degrees off the wind, just to make sure that if the wind does come round onto the nose, we're not going to stall. Because when there's very little wind, it is of course very difficult to get the boat moving again. Yeah, but very nice to be out. Thanks for coming. Yeah, so this is Vasiliki Bay on the island of Lefkos on the Hobie 16 single-handed. How are you getting in if the wind drops in completely? I think I'm going to be on the bow, giving it the surfboard style paddling. Yeah, that's not a bad point actually, Chris. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't go too far. Yeah, very good point. Beautiful. Is it a massive learning curve going for something like that? No, not at all. In fact, catamaran sailing is in many ways easier than monohull sailing because the side-to-side stability isn't quite such an issue, especially in the light winds. VMG turned on, yeah, it's in there. Yeah, in light winds you don't have any stability issues with the catamaran, so if you're in the wrong place the boat isn't going to capsize like you might do on a monohull. But with the cat sailing there is some technique involved, and especially as you step up to stronger winds the catamaran can be a bit intimidating, because if you sheet out the boat won't slow down as immediately as it would on a mono. So yes, good question. But catamaran sailing is easy, a lot easier than monohull sailing on the whole, and you get a lot more return for your effort in terms of boat speed. The catamaran will go a lot faster with a lot less effort than on a monohull. Okay, so we're going to go for attack. Is everybody ready? Is everybody ready? I want at least 2 readies before we're going to attack, just for fun, because it doesn't actually matter if you're ready or not. I'm going to go. In fact, before I go, oh yeah, T button, yeah. Yeah, Bob's ready, Rory's ready. All right, camera, hi James. All right, Chris is ready. Okay, so here we are, we're facing the back. So before the tack, I'm just going to sheet the main in a little bit more, making sure we are sailing as close to the wind as possible. SpongeBob, I am ready. All right, and then putting the legs round the other way, that's going to put us onto our knees in the back of the boat, making sure we're not in a mess. I'm going to uncleat the main first and hold it, and then push the stick away, watching the jib. When the jib backs, that's action time. There's the jib backing, going under the boom. The stick comes round the back. Sheeting out a little bit more, and then bringing the jib across there. Look at that scenery, lovely. Cool. And there we are. Okay. Yeah, so thanks for your involvement there on that tack. So I'm now going to, thanks to Chris's advice of not wanting to have to swim in too far if the wind drops, I'm now just going to bear off a bit, and we're actually going to put the boat on a downwind point of sail. So I'm just going to let the jib fly, but you're in the way of the jib sheets. Going to pull the jib traveller all the way to the outside, making sure the windward jib sheet is free as well. And with the jib travellers, if you've got this system with the rope jib travellers on your 16, then it is it's practical to only have it travelled out on one side at a time. So when you jibe, you just need to swap it over. The reason for that is if you have it travelled out all the way on both sides, it makes the jib sheets too short, because the jib sheets are having to go right to the outside of the boat. Okay, so I'm going to let the main traveller out. Just, what's that? About, let's call that 2/3 of the way out. So I'm not putting it all of the way out. So by having it a bit more in, what that's going to do is let us have the main sheet a bit looser, and that's going to put a bit more twist into the mainsail, which is going to be better for acceleration. So with that twist in the main, it means every bit of wind that comes along, we're really going to benefit from it. Whereas if we had a tighter main sheet, there's more risk of, yeah, lucky man, there's more risk of stalling. Okay, and let's give you a front view for a second. I'm not going to be able to see what you're saying there, and there might be a bit of mast in your way. Oh yeah, a lot of mast. Is the wind the same this time of year? Yeah, to be honest, it's been really windy this week. And oh, hi Damien. And today's the first day when it hasn't been so windy, to be honest. Which I think hopefully I'll be able to sort out the live stream with the GoPro out, and then we'll be able to do a high wind live one of these. But yeah, it's just as windy this time of year. In fact, it's strangely the first week of the season is generally pretty good for wind, but then the consistency is much better. Yeah, I'm having a very nice time actually talking to you guys out here on the 16. Just think if we saw dolphins, wouldn't that be nice? Friendly ones, of course. Champagne or martini? Yeah, it's not. I wouldn't call this champagne. I'd call this more, yeah, sort of like early evening cocktail. Boat envy there from Paul. Early evening cocktail conditions. Yeah, so back onto the downwind sailing. One of the most important things, especially if you're a monohull sailor, moving to catamarans, is we're not going to sail straight downwind on a catamaran, because the way that the catamaran is fast, as you can see by the speed that we're getting here, is by we're having a flow of air over both sides of the sail, which means the furthest downwind we can go is with our apparent wind going straight across the boat at 90 degrees. If we go any further downwind than that, then we're going to be sailing with only one side of the sails active, if you like, and the boat won't go as fast at all. So how do we judge that? Well, funny you should ask. On the front of the boat, can we? All right, we're coming out of the mounting. Hold on, there we go. All right, hello. All right, we're now on freehand mounting. Let's flip this round. Yeah, so on the front of the boat, there we go, we can see we've got these bits of cassette tape. In fact, it's VHS videotape, just telling us what the wind's doing up there. So if those tapes start flying too far forwards, let's simulate this by making it happen, then that means that the wind is coming from too far behind us and we'll start going really slowly. So if that happens, then we turn the boat a little bit back up towards the wind until they're flying straight across the boat. And there it is. So one time when they probably would start flying in that direction, so blowing forwards, would be if we sailed into a lull and we slowed down. So if we slow down, we're going to want to head up towards the wind slightly to keep the boat going. In the other way, if we get a gust and we start going faster, then the wind that we create by going forwards, which we're calling induced wind, is going to mean that our apparent wind, so the apparent wind is the combination of induced wind and the actual wind, the true wind, then our apparent wind is going to come further back. Let's simulate that by it happening. Here it comes. Yeah, so we're going to go faster, but if we're trying to go downwind, we're not actually going to get to where it is that we want to go. So in the gust, we just bear away slightly on the downwind course, and in the lull, we're going to head up slightly. There we are. Very nice. So on the downwind course, when we're sailing with two sails, it is slightly different if we've got a spinnaker up. But when we're sailing with two sails on the downwind course, we really are just focused on these bits of tape at the front of the boat, which are telling us which direction it is that we should be sailing in. There we go. Right, we're going to go back in there. I think we've... Is there much of a step up from a 16 to a Tiger or more powerful cat? Very good question. Yeah, I think because the more powerful cats, especially the Formula 18, let's talk about, because it's quite wide, it's a lot wider than the Dart 18 or the Hobie 16, which means that for the extra power, you've kind of got extra width to take care of it. And as long as you're doing the right thing with the downhaul and the dagger boards as it gets windier, then it's actually a pretty easy boat to sail because the dagger boards make the boat so easy to tack. Beware incoming rabbit at your back. What? Okay, I didn't get an incoming rabbit. I didn't get that. You'll have to explain. Yeah, so stepping up onto a bigger boat is, I think, perfectly viable. It's not too big a step at all. And then, of course, you'll have the fun and games with the spinnaker as well, which really does make life much more interesting. All right, we're going to come up to a jibe, so I'm going to give you the rear-facing view again. There we go. Okay, so before the jibe, what we want to do is just make sure that we are sailing on the right course. So we're making sure that apparent wind is going across the boat at 90 degrees. And then after that, this is your textbook jibe. Depends which textbook you've been reading, of course. And then from there, we're going to come into the middle of the boat on the knees, if your knees bend. If they don't, Friday for some stretching. And then from there, we're going to put the stick around the back of the boat first, before we start to turn. And then we're going to grab the stick the other side of the main sheet. So we'll just demonstrate this time, and then push, guide the main sheet over your head. And by guiding the main sheet across like that, it means that you know exactly when the boom's coming across, so you know exactly when to duck. We're not forcing the main sheet across at all, we're just kind of guiding it. And then once we're through, then we'll sort the jib out. Especially as the wind gets stronger, we don't want to be uncleating the jib before the jibe, especially if we're single-handed, because you could have this situation which I call the jib wrap, where the jib actually flies around the wrong way, like it tries to go forwards of the forestay, which can be a bit messy and troublesome. There we are. The wind is dropping as we speak. Okay, so if you really wanted to get the most out of the boat in these conditions on the downwind leg, all right, I'm gonna flip. Am I gonna flip you around? Yes, I am. Okay. Oh, actually, no, I'm not. Am I? I have. All right, here we go. In fact, we'll just pan it round. And there we can see the front of the boat. Hopefully that's a good spot for it. So if we really want to get the most out of the boat, what we're going to do on the downwind, on the 16, whether you're single-handed or not, is we're going to get as far forwards as possible. So see the foot is right up there on the bow, and the wind is so light at the moment that everybody enjoys a bit of comfort. So the position that I would take would be sat on the bow, legs up the bow, stick here. Can you see the end of the stick? There we go. So just steering from behind, and there you can also have a really good look at your wind indicators. No need for a wetsuit, no, not today. I've got neoprene top on just because there was a little bit of wind when I was rigging up. I didn't want to get cold. Yeah, so really far forwards in this light wind, and what that does is, firstly, it puts the maximum amount of hull length in the water, which helps the boat to go faster. So the more hull length that we have in the water, the faster the boat can go. Also, what that's doing is bringing the mast more upright, which is going to present more active sail area to the wind. So it's going to make the boat more powerful. And also, it's going to let the gravity as well help to fill the sails. Hello from Germany. Yeah, we're open on the water at the moment in Vasiliki. It's very nice. Yes, it's pretty nice actually. You know, I don't want to rub it in, but it is pretty nice. Yeah, so we're just getting really, really far forwards. If we were sailing with 2 people, the crew could be in this position. Is she faster on one hull versus 2? Yes, she is definitely faster when you're lifting the hull slightly, but when the wind's light like this, you just have to accept it and get yourself in the most efficient position. I have one of these things that I call the comfort to efficiency scale, because for a lot of people, the most comfortable place to be on the boat is kind of sat near to the rear beam if you're steering, and that's what they find comfortable. However, it's not particularly efficient in most situations. So to get in a more efficient position. But on the downwind, in the light winds, Rob, you can have someone, yes, thank you, Rob, for these top tips. In the light wind, this position here is both comfortable and extremely efficient, and you're onto a winner in these light winds. Yeah, the only thing that is the negative side of sailing in this position is if you did get a sudden big gust, then things might get a little bit wet. So the wind's light and stable like this, this is a great position to be in. Okay, so I think we'll go for one more upwind leg. What do you think about the 470? 470, absolutely classic boat, great racing boat. And yeah, I used to sail a bit on a 505, which is like the 470 but for heavier people, and that was an absolutely brilliant boat. Really, really difficult to sail compared to the modern boats because of the symmetrical spinnaker, but really nice, quick as well. All right, so for the upwind, our most efficient position won't be that far forwards because we want to have the boat a bit more level. Can a 12-year-old girl handle the front sail? Yes, absolutely, yes, definitely. Yeah, no doubt about it. You can definitely handle the front sail at 12 years old, girl or boy. And in fact, I'm going to start doing some sailing with my boy who is 6. So if he can do it, surely that means there we are. That means there we are. Okay, just sheeting the jib in there. So we're going to start sailing by watching the telltales on the jib. If the telltales on the jib, you are welcome. Aha! Afternoon, Colonel. Yes, out on the ocean, just having a jolly old time. So I've adopted another comfortable position of efficiency for this upwind sailing. I kind of call this the toilet position. Approaching a harbour wall. So here we are. Maybe you can see why it's called the toilet position. just feet on the hull like this. Again, very comfortable. No need to be uncomfortable on the boat. Right, so we are coming up to a harbour wall. In fact, for this tack, you can have a look forward if you like. Where are the hulls? There are the hulls. All right. Yeah, I bet it's polite to tack before hitting the harbour wall. It's a new floating pontoon. And if you have been really far forwards, although you can't see what I'm doing, standing up to move around the boat is a good option. It's a lot better than just kind of slinking around on your knees. I'm going to bring it in as close as possible here actually, just for a bit of drama. Okay, we're coming in for a bit of drama, that's what we're into. Bring it in as close as possible for a bit of drama. Hollywood moment coming up. So we're going to start the tack there, turning into the tack quite slowly, and then as soon as we get to that action of the jib backing, then increasing the turn a bit. And then to get the jib across, because it's so light, I'm just pushing the bottom batten forwards to get the jib to go around the mast, and then bringing the jib in. Lovely. And that's a lot of seagulls. I think they're having a go. I feel a bit intimidated by these seagulls. Right. Taking the eye off the ball for a second because I'm adjusting the camera clearly. But I thought that was a fairly good bit of drama. Bringing it in close, but the seagulls were getting angry. So perhaps it's a warning. Crikey. Yeah, there. Ooh, don't fancy it. Oh, sorry, I missed that, Alex. What's the best method while sailing? Was that to right the boat? Oh, I missed that second one, Danny. Do you have enough wind? There's never enough wind. Depends what you want to do. Was the question, how do you right the boat if you capsize with one light person on board? Yeah, I've done quite a lot of videos on righting the capsized boat with one person, yeah. And if it's windy, like, use the water bag. Yeah, I'm really into the bag of water. It's a lot less, although the righting pole or the righting frame is very quick. Once you capsize to deploy the righting pole or righting frame, you have that bad boy out in seconds and you have the boat up a lot quicker. However, it means you've got all this stuff under your boat all the time, which might be quite heavy or might catch in the water a bit. Whereas the bag, you could just put it in a trampoline pocket, weighs nothing, and you know, in the wind when it's not strong. What would you think about the Hawaiian system? Oh, is that of loosening off the shroud? Yeah, I'm not, with a mast foot which can come out because there's nothing holding it in, I don't know, that it just frightens me a little bit, that system. But if the wind is strong, like if it's above 25 knots, then the boat will almost want to right itself once you point it in the right direction. So you don't need any sort of, even if you're light, because even with nobody on the boat can right itself in the strong winds. Oh, hold on, I missed that one. The UFO or the Wasp, never sailed either of them. I have a frame, I hate it. Oh, right. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, the UFO, the advert for that boat, I think, comes up before a lot of my videos. Well, when I watch them, it does. And it looks pretty cool. Yeah, so I'd be keen to have a go if anyone wants to get one out here. Amazing video, breath of fresh air. Yeah, it is nice, actually. And it's so quiet here at the moment as well, because there's still very few people about, so there's almost zero, not that there's ever much traffic, but it's so quiet and peaceful. It's nice. The Wasp, I think, for an introduction to performance foiling, the Wasp looks like a really good idea. But when you actually see one for real, oh, what time is it? Good question. It is 6:20. Too much drag under the boat, yeah, I would say so. Okay, so we're just going to go downwind again. So as we did before, without catching the jib sheet on the camera. That's squeaky jib traveller. Yeah, so I thought, seeing as you guys had gone to the effort of helping me build this boat, it was only fair that you came out with me on it for the first sail of the season, because I'd be getting lonely otherwise, no one to talk to. All right, so once again we're adopting this angle of wind coming across the boat 90 degrees. Is everybody happy with apparent wind? Don't be shy. If you're not happy with apparent wind, it is one of the absolute fundamentals of downwind catamaran or performance boat sailing. How do you have your outhaul rigged? Yeah, this is, hold on, let's have a look. What have you learned from the virtual sailing game? Oh yeah, I'll come back to you on that. We're just looking at the outhaul first. This is kind of like the standard outhaul system on the sort of more recent boats from Europe. The line comes from the sail, goes to a block, and then that gives us a 2-to-1 purchase to pull the outhaul on, so you get a little bit more purchase on the outhaul. But to be honest, I don't like the system. How long is tiller extension? I think it's about 2.5 meters, maybe 220. Thanks very much. This is my favorite channel on YouTube as well. All right, I'm gonna go for a jibe just here, and I think we're gonna take her in. So going to the other side first, grabbing it on the new side. Smashing, very nice. And oh, we've now got to try to persuade the jib to go across. So to get the jib to go across when it is feeling a bit troublesome like this, I'm just pushing the bottom batten, and that pushes the whole jib forwards so that the battens don't all catch at once on the mast. Okay, so I'm assuming that everybody's happy with apparent wind, unless I missed a comment while I was busy manoeuvring and monkeying around with things. Okay, so I think this is going to be quite interesting to see how am I going to go about getting the boat out of the water. Downhaul, good question. I've got it just on to take the creases out of the sail, but something that's good to get into the habit of, not so important in the light winds, but definitely in the strong wind. When you're approaching the place where you're going to park, let the downhaul off early, and also let the jib sheet off as well, so that when you stop the boat, the sail isn't going to flog violently. If you have the downhaul on hard in a strong wind and you're not sailing, the mainsail just flogs because of that curve in the sail and the wind flicking the battens from one side to the other. Okay, so we are approaching Wild Wind Beach. Unfortunately, we've cleaned it, but we haven't usually we get a digger in to flatten it off a bit. Here we go. Now you've got the driver's view out of the front window. And because we've got a really nice sandy bottom here, what I'm actually going to do is allow the rudders to hit the bottom. Great info. Oh yes, well, it's been great to have you with us, Bob. Thanks for coming along. I'll be back next week with some more live, but I'm actually the forecast looks pretty strong tomorrow, so I'm going to go out just with the usual camera on the head vibe and do my first strong wind video of the season, and then hopefully I'll get that posted tomorrow evening for you to see. There we are. Oh yeah, don't forget to give this video a like if you can spare a like. I don't know if you have a quota per month, how many likes you can issue, but it just means that more people will get to see it, and that is nice, so others can enjoy this breath of fresh air. Yeah, so I'm going to let the rudders hit the bottom because it's a nice sandy bottom here, and it's much better for the system than if I was to go and pull the rudder up by lifting it by the bar, because we have the rudders wound up so tight here for the constant high wind sailing that we do most of the time. All right, so bringing her in pretty shallow. There we can see the launching trolley on the beach. And here we are coming in. I'm not going to turn into the wind until I feel those rudders touch, just so that they'll be kind of half kicked up. All right, no, the water is pretty deep all the way in, so I'm actually going to stop the boat first. I'll flip you around again. Done. Yeah, done. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, oh, done, that was like in the video, yeah, thanks. So, because the wind's really light, I can keep the boat into wind just by pushing the back of the boat round. Do not try this if it's windy. And then I'm going to kick the rudder up using my foot. I'm going to take the snap shackle off the main sheet. Very handy having that snap shackle on there. And now this bit could be a bit of a trick shot if you sail somewhere with a rocky beach. You'd have to really think about it. But what I'm going to do, keeping the boat into the wind, is I'm just going to lift the back of the boat up a bit. And I've just dropped the back of the boat onto the beach, just to hold it there while I get the trolley. And in fact, I'm going to pull it up a little bit more. It's like a fine sand. Okay, I'm just behind you at the moment. I'll flip you around. Oh, all right. So that is EPO rudders. Now the black strip on the EPO is it's carbon fibre. No safety boats about at the moment, so only for the foolish. So to get the trolley under, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to introduce the trolley a little bit, and then I'm going to push it under with the foot. And I'm actually going to grab the dolphin striker and getting the trolley under so that it's about under the shrouds, and then we're going to tie it on. And our trolleys here, we use these long ropes so that we can tie it off to the bridle wires, so that as we pull the boat out of the water, the trolley doesn't slip backwards. There we go, so I'm just going to get the one from the other side. So now to get the boat out of the water and up the beach. Beach is pretty lumpy at the moment, so I'm not going to go straight up the beach. I'm going to kind of tack up the beach, but because the wind is so light, I'm actually going to engage a bit of poor seamanship and have the wind help us up the beach a bit by presenting the back of the boat to the wind. So here we go. Let's see if we can do this. If we can't, the boat's staying on. Oh, sorry. Just got some small waves, so just go get the boat out of the water first. Okay, now I'm going to have to give it some juice. So we're definitely out of the water there. The Zero Shoes Colorado's pretty good actually for this. Whew. Okay, now I've just got a bit of a ledge to get up. All right, hold on. So I'm gonna pop her through a jibe, I think. Okay, so I'm gonna use all the technique. Yo, looks like I didn't miss all the. Hello, Jeff. Good to have you on board. We're here we're pulling a Hobie 16 out of the water with Zero Shoes. All right, so I'm gonna give it maximum beans. Oh, these beans are not gonna be enough. I can sense that. So I'm just going to kind of walk one wheel up this kind of lump at a time. I think I'm actually, it's pretty rare, but don't tell anyone. But I'm going to admit defeat here because all right, this is where we are. We've got one slightly flat tyre. So I'm going to walk that tyre up this steep bit. This is the most in-depth launching trolley chat you're going to have today, I can tell you that for free. So we're going to see if we can get using this sort of pivoting motion, and then can we get the other one up? I don't know. Maybe we can't. More beans needed, indeed. Yes, As. No. Usually have 4 people. Joe does it alone. I think I'll be okay. Yeah, I just have to try harder. Okay. All right. Here we go. Okay. Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, so there we go. I think I'm going to sign off there. I've got help on its way. Got Nico from the bar here is going to give me a pull out up the beach. The beach's just so stiff, so steep that it's not happening. Yeah, I've tried going sideways, Stefan, but the beach is yeah, aggressive. And I should have pumped up the tyres on the trolley first, to be honest, but I did not. So thanks very much for coming along for the ride. We'll see you next week with some more live and we'll stick to Wednesday. Yeah, thanks for coming, Hydro Builder. Nice to have you on board. And what else? Yeah, so far, yeah, thanks, James. I enjoyed having you on board. What else is coming up? Yeah, so tomorrow I'm going to try to get out in the stronger. Yes, of course, Rory. We miss you. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Will. Yeah, you'll be able to see it afterwards. Push the boat, go and blow up the tyres, put the boat... Yeah, that sounds like a lot of effort, though, Jeff. I think I'm just going to wait for someone to give me a hand. Yeah, thanks, Marco. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Tomorrow I should have some new high wind action, first bit of high wind action of the season, single-handed on the 16. Friday, stretching, of course. Expecting to see you all for the stretching. And then, of course, Sunday for Show Us Your Cat and virtual regatta racing, where I think I'm going to foolishly try to do the live video at the same time as the action. Sail over to the slipway. Yeah, I think this is not a bad suggestion from Stefan. If I really was on my own, then what I could do is put the launching trolley between the bows on top of the hulls at the front of the boat, put the boat back in the water, sail down to the village. Oh, virtual regatta, 3 o'clock Greek time. I don't know what country you're in. Are you in Holland? Would it be? Main sheet system pulls, yeah. There are many ways to skin a cat. Yeah, 3 o'clock Greek time on Sunday for virtual regatta. If you want to get on the race course with us, then just send me an email or a message on Facebook, East Coast USA. Or you'll have to work it out. But 3 o'clock Greek time. So that'll be in the morning for you. Yeah, send me a message on Facebook or on an email, and we have a messenger group for the virtual regatta events that we're doing. So you can get involved if you'd like to. So yeah, I'm gonna say goodbye now. So thank you very much.